Ethan Carter, a renowned millionaire known for his sharp vision in the service industry, decided to go undercover as an ordinary customer to uncover the truth about one of the restaurants in his business chain. After receiving numerous customer complaints, Ethan wanted to experience and identify the root causes himself. The story begins on a gloomy afternoon as Ethan walks into the restaurant in a simple outfit. With no one suspecting his true identity as the founder of this renowned restaurant chain, Ethan begins a journey that will unravel not only the truth about the restaurant, but also a life-changing connection he never expected. Leave a comment about where you're watching this story from, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel to stay tuned for more inspiring tales. Let's dive into this remarkable journey, a story of perseverance, compassion, and the power of transformation. Ethan Carter wasn't just any millionaire. He was a man deeply passionate about perfecting service. To him, even the smallest details could impact a customer's experience. After receiving complaints about one of the branches in his restaurant chain, Ethan decided not to rely on reports from staff or managers. Instead, he chose to tackle the issue head-on by going undercover as a regular customer. Ethan picked a gloomy afternoon to execute his plan. Wearing a simple button-down shirt, worn-out jeans, and a baseball cap, he ensured no one would recognize him. As he adjusted his cap and stepped into the restaurant, he felt a mix of anticipation and determination to uncover the truth. As he stepped into the restaurant, he immediately noticed the atmosphere. The rustic decor had potential, but it lacked care. Tables were misaligned and the floor desperately needed cleaning. However, what caught his attention the most was Sophie, a young waitress with a warm smile and a welcoming demeanor. Despite clearly being overwhelmed, Sophie took the time to lead Ethan to a table by the window before rushing off to attend to other customers. Ethan began observing Sophie's work. She moved tirelessly, striving to serve everyone in a restaurant that was severely understaffed. Even with signs of exhaustion, she made it a point to check in with customers politely and attentively. Through every detail, Ethan realized that Sophie was doing everything in her power to maintain the quality of service in a challenging environment. Sophie wasn't just a waitress, she was a single mother full of resilience. At 28 years old, Sophie was raising her two twin daughters, Lily and Grace, who were only 5 years old. Years ago, when she found out she was pregnant, Sophie had hoped her boyfriend would stand by her, but reality struck hard. He left her as soon as he learned the news, leaving Sophie to face the responsibility alone. Since then, Sophie had dedicated her life to her daughters. Despite the mounting challenges, Lily and Grace were her greatest motivation to keep going. Every morning, she would drop them off at the neighborhood daycare before catching the bus to work at the restaurant, ready to face another grueling day. Working as a waitress not only brought in meager earnings, but also a great deal of stress. Sophie worked under the watchful eye of Victor, a manager who was quick to criticize every minor detail, yet never acknowledged her hard work. However, Sophie refused to let this bring her down. To her, every customer deserved excellent service, and she always greeted them with a sincere smile. Many regular customers adored Sophie and frequently requested to sit in her section. They could feel the genuine care in the way she interacted and handled every situation, even unreasonable complaints from difficult customers. This caught Ethan's attention, who saw that Sophie's dedication and professionalism made all the difference for the restaurant. Despite the less-than-ideal working conditions, with each passing day, Ethan grew more impressed by Sophie. He didn't just see a skilled waitress, he saw a strong woman quietly fighting to create a better life for herself and her children. One busy afternoon, Ethan sat at his usual table near the window, watching Sophie as she struggled to serve everyone. The restaurant was more crowded than usual, and it was clear Sophie was overwhelmed. But the tension escalated when Victor, the manager, appeared. Victor, exuding arrogance, approached Sophie and barked orders. "That VIP table is complaining again. Move faster, Sophie." Sophie tried to explain. "The kitchen is swamped. I'll handle it as soon as I can." But Victor cut her off. "Excuses won't cut it. If you can't do your job properly, maybe you shouldn't be here," he said coldly, his eyes filled with disdain. Ethan, who had been quietly observing, couldn't stay silent any longer. Rising from his seat with a commanding presence, he spoke firmly, his voice cutting through the noise. "Victor, your behavior is unacceptable. No one deserves to be treated this way, especially someone who works as hard as Sophie. His words silenced the room, drawing every eye toward him. Victor raised an eyebrow, clearly unimpressed. "And who are you to meddle in my business?" he sneered. Ethan calmly replied, "Just a customer, but I can't sit back and watch you treat your employee like this. Sophie is the one keeping this place running. If there's a problem here, it's your management style." Sophie glanced at Ethan, her eyes filled with surprise and gratitude, but also concern. "It's okay, Ethan. I don't want you to get into trouble because of me," she whispered. But Ethan shook his head. "Sophie, no one deserves to be treated like that. He needs to change." Feeling cornered, Victor lashed out. "If you don't like the way I run things, you're free to leave." Ethan responded, his voice steady but resolute. "Maybe I will, but before I go, remember this: the way you treat your staff will ruin this restaurant." Ethan returned to his seat, but he knew it was time to take action. What he had witnessed that day only strengthened his resolve to help Sophie and transform this restaurant for good. The next day, Ethan returned to the restaurant, this time without his disguise. He walked in confidently and announced his true identity as the owner of the restaurant chain. Everyone, including Victor, was stunned. "Hello, everyone. I'm Ethan Carter, the owner of this restaurant chain," he said, his gaze sweeping across the room filled with shocked faces. "I've been here as a customer to better understand the situation. What I've seen convinces me that changes need to happen." Victor, ever the opportunist, tried to flatter Ethan. "I always knew there was something special about you," he said with a forced smile, but Ethan ignored him. "Victor, the first change starts with your management. Effective immediately, you are no longer the manager of this restaurant." Victor was dumbfounded. "You can't fire me. I'm the reason this place runs," he shouted angrily. Ethan replied calmly, "No, it's Sophie and the other staff who are the reason customers come back. Your management has been disrespectful and counterproductive. You're fired. Please gather your things and leave." As Victor stormed out, the atmosphere in the restaurant immediately felt lighter. Ethan turned to the staff, his eyes filled with determination. "I want us to build a positive working environment together, where everyone feels respected and valued for their contribution." He looked directly at Sophie and said, "Sophie, I'd like to offer you the position of manager for this restaurant." Sophie's eyes widened in disbelief. "Me? I'm just a waitress. I've never managed anything before," she said, her voice trembling with uncertainty. Ethan smiled reassuringly. "You have everything a great manager needs: dedication, natural leadership, and compassion. You've done incredible things without the title. Believe in yourself. You can do this." Her colleagues chimed in, offering words of encouragement. "You're the perfect choice," one said. "We've always trusted you," another added. Though still hesitant, Sophie felt the sincerity of their support. After a few moments of reflection, she nodded. "I'll try, but I'll need everyone's help." With a confident smile, Ethan responded, "We'll do this together." Since Sophie took on the role of manager, Ethan spent more time at the restaurant to support her. The two often discussed ways to improve the establishment, and with each conversation, their relationship grew closer. Ethan showed genuine care not only for the business, but also for Sophie's personal life. He frequently asked about Lily and Grace, listening intently as Sophie shared stories about Lily's quirky drawings or how Grace was learning to count. These conversations not only reassured Sophie, but also deepened the connection between them. One evening after work, as they reviewed a new menu together, Ethan unexpectedly asked, "If we were to add a new dessert to the menu, what do you think would be the most special?" Sophie smiled, her eyes lighting up. "Maybe a chocolate cake with a touch of orange zest. Something classic but with a fresh twist." Ethan's gaze lingered on Sophie's face, and in that moment, both of them felt something beyond their professional bond. Sophie felt her heart flutter but remained cautious. "I've always believed you're someone special, Sophie," Ethan said softly. "The way you dedicate yourself to your work and your family is truly admirable." Though her thoughts were still guarded, Sophie knew that the connection between them was growing stronger with each passing day. Under Sophie's leadership, the restaurant gradually transformed into a positive workplace and attracted more customers than ever before. The staff felt respected and the work environment became more harmonious and supportive. Sophie and Ethan's relationship continued to blossom. They often worked together, sharing ideas and supporting one another both professionally and personally. One day, after work, Ethan invited Sophie for a walk in the park. As they strolled along the tree-lined paths, Ethan stopped, took Sophie's hand, and said, "Sophie, you haven't just changed the restaurant. You've changed my life. With you, I feel stronger, and I want us to build a future together." Sophie was surprised but felt her heart warm. "Ethan, you've helped me believe in myself. I never thought I could achieve all this, but you've always been there to encourage me," she replied, her eyes sparkling with happiness. Smiling, Ethan reached into his pocket and pulled out a small box. He opened it to reveal a sparkling engagement ring. "Sophie, will you be my partner forever? Will you marry me?" Tears streamed down Sophie's face as she smiled brightly. "Yes, Ethan, I will." Their wedding was a warm celebration held at the very restaurant where they first met. After the ceremony, Sophie addressed her colleagues, saying, "I want to thank all of you for always supporting me. This isn't just my story, it's ours, a story of hope, trust, and transformation." The story ends with a new family being built, a thriving restaurant, and a future full of promise. After the wedding, Sophie and Ethan entered a new chapter of their lives. Not only were they partners in marriage, but they also became the perfect team in building an ideal work environment for the restaurant. Sophie, with her sharp instincts and experience as a waitress, introduced fresh ideas into management. She organized skill training sessions, set up regular meetings to gather feedback from the staff, and created a friendly workplace. Ethan, with his expertise, focused on long-term strategies, expanding the menu, and strengthening community connections. One day, Sophie proposed a unique idea: hosting family events on weekends. "I think we could create a small corner for kids where they can draw while their parents relax," she suggested to Ethan. He nodded, smiling. "I love this idea. It not only offers comfort for families but also shows how much we care about our customers." The idea quickly came to life. The restaurant began attracting more families on weekends. Children played in their dedicated space while parents enjoyed delicious meals. The warm atmosphere and children's laughter filled the restaurant, making it a special place for everyone. At home, Sophie and Ethan continued to nurture their family's happiness. Lily and Grace adored Ethan, often telling their friends, "Our new dad is the best." One evening, after the children had gone to bed, Sophie looked at Ethan and said, "My life has changed so much since I met you. I've not only found love, but also discovered strength within myself." Ethan replied, his gaze tender, "And I'm the lucky one to be with a strong woman like you. Together, we've created something magical." Their story was not just about transforming a restaurant, but also a testament to how love, trust, and support can build a future full of promise. One beautiful evening, Sophie hosted a cozy family dinner to share a special piece of news with Ethan and the girls. Lily and Grace sat at the dining table, their curious eyes fixed on their mother, who wore a mysterious smile. "Why are you so happy today, Mom?" Grace asked, her curiosity evident. Sophie glanced at her daughters, then turned to Ethan, who sat across from her. "Honey, I have a surprise for the family," Sophie said, her eyes sparkling. Ethan raised an eyebrow, excitement building. "What kind of surprise?" he asked. Sophie took his hand and said, "I'm pregnant, and this time, it's twin boys." The dining room erupted in cheers. Lily and Grace jumped up, shouting, "We're going to have baby brothers!" Ethan looked at Sophie, his smile widening into a grin he couldn't contain. "Really? Twin boys? I can't believe this!" "This is the best gift ever," he said, pulling Sophie into a tight hug. In the months that followed, the family worked together to prepare for the arrival of the two new members. Lily and Grace eagerly helped their mom decorate the nursery, picking out paint colors and arranging toys. Ethan, ever attentive, took care of Sophie's every need. When the twin boys, Jack and Noah, were born, their home overflowed with joy. The sound of baby giggles and the sight of their bright, curious eyes brought new life into the house. Ethan often joked with Sophie, "You know, we're practically a family soccer team now." Sophie laughed, responding, "Yes, and I'm the head coach." Their home was never short of laughter. Every morning, Lily and Grace took turns holding their baby brothers, while Ethan told funny stories to start the day on a positive note. Sophie and Ethan's life became a beautiful testament to love and family. They found happiness not just in their work, but in building a home filled with laughter, warmth, and unconditional love.